Continuing our look now at the best in children's television. This morning, the new kid, or dinosaur on the block.
On the big purple reptile that kids can't resist.
The big purple
dinosaur.
Teaches about love, and it just kind of like soothes the kids.
And always, there's that signature song.
If you are on the lookout for dinosaurs, you have come to the right place. But first, we've got some dinosaurs news just to pass along. There is a new set of fossils found in North Dakota that could potentially give us our best pictures yet of the extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago, assuming the findings hold up to what's already amounting to some serious scrutiny. So may not be what they think it is. However, you have found us. This is your dinosaur find, and that is Purple Tales Podcast.
Welcome, Nancy.
With Carey Stinson, and you know who Carey is. You don't mind us always saying Carey, Barney. I get so excited, I keep hitting the mic. Carey Barney Stinson, inside the suit for so many, many years.
No, it just puts a big smile on my face. This has just been incredible. I mean, what's been happening, and I think you're seeing it, all of these letters and hearing from these fans has just been, and all the people that were Barney for all these years. I think we found a dinosaur that's not extinct because he is back in a big way.
You are so right. What is it about dinosaurs, you think?
I don't know. I think there's a fascination.
And what Barney has done to so many kids who are grown up now that we're hearing from, kids who didn't have friends in school, but Barney became their friend. There was
the one we had about.
Yeah, I mean, there's one here that we had. This is from Michael, and let me get it. And basically, Michael said that his Barney story is that Barney gave him that extra love that he needed. His parents divorced when he was at a young age, and as he got older, he not only loved Barney, but started trying to figure out how things were done on the show. So see, that's why this show is for this kind of Barney fan.
Oh, absolutely. It's been so much fun to get to show them and tell them these stories that I think, we learned so much last week with Steven that I think
the writer.
People were just, the writer were just blown away with, and it's just been so much fun each week. And I'm, like I said, from the beginning, how much I'm learning each week from things that I had, stories that I had no idea about. And
you feel more confident in talking about your role as Barney now, don't you? Because it's because we love you.
Yes. Absolutely, I do. It's been just incredible, and I think we all do. We it's so much fun to show people how much we loved them and how much we love that character, and it's just been a heck of a journey.
Well, and from our YouTube channel, got some funny comments from some people. From Mario, he was saying, I wonder if this is the same. No, that was Michael. Okay, Mario was saying, he grew up with Barney, but that he got rid of his Barney collection when he was like 10 because he thought it just wouldn't help him. I mean, he was too cool. Too cool for school, too cool for Barney. And he goes, it wasn't good, and he said he was miserable not having that escape that he would use from stress. But so it has a happy ending because years down the line, I found like-minded people who love Barney and watched him as much as I have. And it's so funny. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just excited today. I keep hitting the mic, and that's been the thing. Like, don't touch the mic.
I think it's because I mentioned last week that we're going to be doing some dance moves.
And I'm trying. I mean, my hands are ready. I think you're ready. Well, speaking of dance, there was another. We got another note, and this was from Alyssa France. Oh my God! I remember when I went to a Sprout celebration and met Barney and see him do the cha-cha slide.
Yes,
Okay, do you know? They said it's the guy recorded. He goes, I missed the episode of the Rainbow Pirate Barney back and all that. Yeah. But the cha-cha slide. So a lot of these steps and dances actually had names.
Yes, they did. They did. A lot of them did, and we. I did a lot of those Sprout events, and those were so much fun getting out. It's always fun to get out with the fans, and that interaction. Being on TV was phenomenal, but being out there with the fans and that probably inspired a cha-cha slide.
The cha-cha slide. I can only imagine. Well, also these dolls. We're getting so many people say, "Bring the dolls in. We'd
Right.
like to see the plushies and all the Barney things." And kids. I mean, I've talked to people who their mothers gave the dolls away,
Yeah.
and they're still mad at their moms.
Right. Well, I'm going to have to go in. I still have.
Somebody said,
Several
"What?
that-
What do you have?
Yeah,
You got some stuff."
I have a lot of
Storage?
stuff that. Yes, I have a lot of stuff that'll have to come out. here
And
in the
one
next couple
question,
weeks.
one question was, where is the Barney suit? Where is Barney? Where does the suit reside? Is it in your storage,
It
Carey?
is. It is not in my. It is not in my storage. It is with the company. But no, I don't have at Barney. But I do have a lot of history in my storage unit. So
Okay.
we'll have to get into that. But we've been talking about dancing, and
Yes.
that really puts us into play of who we have here today.
Okay.
So when I left the tour and I came to do the TV show Barney and Friends, so Barney and Friends started out. David Joyner was the actor that was doing Barney for all of those years, and he did the first 6 series, and I was on the tour. I was traveling and I was on the tour, and then when I left the road and I came back, they brought the production back, and I started in series 7, and this was my choreographer. And her name is Shelley Aubrey.
Welcome, Shelley.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
How lovely to have you here. And you have on, it looks like a Barney shade there.
This is Barney. That's correct. My nails.
Oh, my.
My toes, if I could get my feet up there.
Uh-oh.
But I won't.
Well, and from what I understand, you all have lifetime friends.
Yes.
You adore each other. You've kept in touch.
Yes, yes.
But what I understand is the reason why we even have a podcast was actually born from Shelley. Do tell.
Well, Carey and Chris came.
The executive producer,
the
Chris
executive
Kraft.
producer, came down to. I live in Ennis. I'm the artistic director of the Ennis Public Theater. There's that little plug.
Ennis, Texas.
Ennis,
Ennis,
Texas.
Texas.
And they came down because Carey is photographer now, and they wanted to see the bluebonnets and talk about taking pictures around the bluebonnet
Yes.
time. And I had them meet at my theater. And so Chris is around taking pictures and, photo. And so since he's doing that, Carey and I just started,
Well,
remember when?
well, no, you
our
had-
friend, Jason.
Your friend-
I had one of my actor friends there. So he was just absolute, and this man is, I don't know how old he is, but he's probably 40-ish. And he's just, "You're Barney? You're Barney?
Yeah,
I can't
he's-
believe you're Barney." Yeah, I mean, he was like this child. So we started telling stories, remember when, blah, 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 and we're just
Right.
talking and talking. And all of a sudden, you look over and Chris is just looking, and Chris goes, "There's your podcast."
Because Chris and I had been talking about it. So Chris and I had been talking about doing the podcast, and I was like, I don't know. And we were going back and forth on this thing and how would we do it and this and this and that. And we'd really been talking about it that day as we were driving up. Sure. And then Shelley and I go into it, and Chris just looked and goes, that was it. It's the two guys in the room were just fascinated by hearing all these
Wanted
stories.
to hear another story, and well, what about? And, and we were like,
Yeah, and we were just telling stories. Just
talking.
friends telling stories like
Yeah.
we've done forever.
It's amazing that these stories still mean so much to the people who hear them, telling them, and for the first time.
Well, I guess it's because of how pure and how much it means to us. I mean, honestly, and I was looking just a minute ago when I just went, I'm going to get verklempt. I'm going to start crying. It was the dearest time of my life in my career. I mean, I had done a lot, and my career is varied, but we worked hard. 7 o'clock in the morning, I would get to the studio. Sometimes we didn't leave until 7 o'clock at night. Sometimes this man was in the suit for, from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. But there was no angst. There was not anger. There was frustration only because we wanted to get it right. And we knew what our product was. And I don't think I ever knew how much. I don't think any of us knew. Now, Carey could because he was out on the road before, but we didn't get the feeling of really how it affected the children until some of these recent years, until we kind of look back and people start saying things. We were doing a job, and we thought we had a good product, and we loved him, and we loved Barney and the little guys.
Well, and Shelley would have been, I mean, you witnessed some of the the Make-A-Wish and
Yes.
some of the kids. So you did get to see
Absolutely.
some
Right.
aspects
Yes.
of how it affected.
Right. How it would.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, yes, we would see it we got to see it when these kids got to see Barney for the first time. And that, he opens his arms for these little kids and they would just, just hug him. And he would stay with them as long as they wanted to hug, So we got that opportunity, but it wasn't a lot, I guess.
right. I had had it for 10 years
Right.
of traveling all over the world.
Right, yeah.
Well, Shelley, your road to Barney. You have been in theater your entire career. Since high school, you've been doing shows. You spent several years in Germany as the entertainment director or musical director for the military.
It was, I think they titled it a theater director,
Okay.
but I had to run the rec room and everything else.
And so your background is in theater and music, but how did you find Barney? How did Barney find you?
Well, it was very interesting because it was the first. Now, you were talking about David Joyner,
Yes.
but we must mention David Voss,
Yes.
who was the first person in the Barney suit.
When we were doing the video, when they were doing the videos.
The first video put out, it was Sandy Duncan. David Voss was in the blue dog. Barney looked like a blue dog.
And that was what you keep hearing, backyard gang.
Backyard gang.
That
Yes.
was the backyard
That was
gang.
People are
Backyard
asking
gang.
about them. Yes.
Those kids were
Yeah.
the backyard gang.
Okay.
So my son was about 4 years old, I guess, 3 or 4 years old, and I'm just shopping and I see this video. And again, it's a dinosaur and little boys like dinosaurs. I don't know. But so I bought it. And he's watching it and I'm looking at the video. Well, on the back of it is Cheryl Stamps Leach, who I went to high school with. We graduated together. I have some of her poetry still in a little notebook.
The creator.
The creator. And so I just jotted her a little note and said, kudos, my son's watching it. Good luck. A couple of weeks later, I get a phone call, and it's Cheryl. And she wanted to know if I was still doing that theater stuff. And I said, yes. So she said, well, I would like to get you an interview. I cannot hire you, but I'm going to put you in an interview if you're interested. So I had an interview with Jim Rowley and Ben Vaughn. And they were both, Jim was the executive producer at the time, and Ben was a producer.
And they both also became directors.
Right. Okay. And they honestly didn't have, I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think we connected and they just decided to create something for me. I mean, honestly, we had a great talk and they decided that I was going to be the dialogue coach.
What does that mean?
Right. Exactly. I got one day a week that I had the kids for only a couple of hours, and I was supposed to get out of their thing and they're talking like that, trying to get a little straighter vocalization out of them, also a little more natural.
And these were all Texas kids too,
Sure,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And I was supposed to do that in 2 hours. Yes.
And this was series 4?
It was 4.
Series
right.
4.
So it was really still brand new. I mean,
Right.
Yes, it was 4. So that was my entire, that's all I had. And they moved me up then to being 2 days a week because I would be on set then to kind of, if they needed a little more refresher course or something like that. And so I got 2 days. If you want to go through the whole evolution, I loved it from the get-go. I was excited. It was like, I want to do more than this. Miss Penny, who you've mentioned
We've
many
talked about
times.
a lot.
Miss Penny was the original choreographer and did the tours and
Now,
everything.
not with the backyard gang.
No. Oh, yes, she
She
did.
was not.
Oh, I thought she did. Okay.
She came in very early, but she
didn't do the backyard gang.
She was part of that, but there was.
Okay. All right.
And
But,
we'll tell
yeah.
that story.
She was she was the performance director and doing all the choreography and everything, and she had an assistant. And I would just kind of watch this assistant not being an assistant. Now, bless your heart if you're listening. I don't know where you are, but I think she wanted a little more career. And anyway, it doesn't matter about her. So I'm just kind of watching this, and then I started hearing that Penny needed someone else. And I know exactly when it all happened. I'm walking across, this was at Las Colinas. That's where we started, at Las Colinas. And I'm walking across from the offices over to the studio. And I happen to be walking along with Ben Vaughn. And he just, well, how are things going? And I said, well, you know what? I think Miss Penny is not doing very well with her assistant. And he said, yeah, I know. I think problems are there. And I said, well, I'd like to, I think I could do it. And he said, then go tell her. So I was like, so I did. I just told her that if she thought of changes, please think of me. Penny and I had similar backgrounds in the Dallas community. Penny was a dancer for years at the Dallas Summer Musicals, and I'm not sure if she did CASA. I was a singer, and we kind of had the same track. So we started finding out that, hey, I know you. Anyway, long story, I became her assistant. So I was Penny's assistant for, I think, 2. Then,
4 or 5.
5 and 6. I think I
Right.
was her assistant for 2 of those. And I was a very busy assistant. I mean, I was very busy because as soon as she found out that, I would take some things and I would do it.
Well, and Shelley was around. We got this a couple weeks ago. We're putting all these stories together for you, Nancy.
I know.
When they filmed the movie, David went up to Montreal to film the movie.
Okay.
And that's when Josh came in. So
Okay.
when the incident happened,
started smoking when Josh smoked.
Shelley was there for that. So
there.
Shelley was there for the incident with the costume.
Oh, what was that incident?
With the battery.
When his
that-
battery
Oh,
went
the
on.
smoking.
the
Okay, I
smoke.
was just, we talked about that.
Yeah, so
Literally,
Shelley was
the
there.
newspaper was saying that. I mean, that was the caption, I think,
Right.
was that Barney's smoking or, or
Caught on
something like
fire.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because it was just coming out and, it was,
Yeah. So Shelley was there for
I was
that incident.
And so then you spent 10 years with Barney. Is
Yes.
that about right?
Uh-huh. Pretty close. Almost 10 years, yeah.
So when did you meet Carey?
It was a meeting, kind of a meet and greet kind of thing up in Plano at the offices up in Allen, or where were the offices?
It was in Allen.
Allen, yeah. And we were having a meet and greet because we had shut down, and then they were reorganizing, and we were going to start.
The production shut down.
Yeah.
But I was on the road. The
He was-
tour was
right.
still going. I was still.
Right. They were reassessing. They weren't, it was like, are we coming back? Are we not? Are we? It was this whole thing, and I get a call to then interview for that position. And that was the first time I ever met him because I already had the position. I didn't know who was Barney, who was going to be Barney. I knew Jeff Ayres. The only thing I knew was Jeff Ayres was coming back as Baby Bob. All the voices were coming back except for Bob West, which we already knew that
Yeah,
one
he'd
anyway.
already
He had
left.
already left. But the voices were coming back, but I had no idea who was going to be Barney.
She had
And
no idea the trouble coming
I
into
had no idea.
her life. What she was in for.
No, I remember I was nervous, and I kind of thought, okay, I need to kind of tell him how I'm going to run this thing, or I mean, or I need to, and it was like talking to my guy that I'd known forever. He had no ego. I didn't need to do anything like that. We knew that we were going to work together on everything that we had. The thing that I can say a whole lot of times in all of the productions is I always felt that I was his big sister or his mom, that I was looking out for him because I was always wanting to be his eyes and ears on this side because, okay, he's working, he's out there, he's hearing multiple voices in his head, and
he still does.
Yes.
he has to have his yes. So I always had kind of a protectiveness about, his days because they got a little long a lot of times.
Yeah, there's long hours. There's that set is a it's an obstacle course for a big purple dinosaur. I don't have much vision. We have kids. We have extras, and when the extras are there, we don't ever reveal ourselves. So
Oh.
yeah.
And they want to come up
Oh.
and hug
They
him,
have
and
no
he
idea.
can turn and wipe
Yeah.
out a whole,
So you're always in character when when
Yes.
X.
when the extras
Yes.
are there,
Oh, my.
Always.
We never revealed ourselves.
Right.
So it was only our cast kids that knew.
Yeah.
So a lot of, especially when we were on the outdoor sets, there was always extras. So a lot of times you weren't. But
Yeah.
we ended up getting, there's signals and all kinds of things. And they could tell if I needed a break or if I was in trouble or any of those things.
Yeah, but they were always very aware and wanted to make sure that the magic always stayed with these kids that would come, off the street basically to be extras for us. And they didn't want to all of a sudden, oh, Barney gets out of his costume or he's standing around, and Baby Bop doesn't have his head on or.
Well, the actor that played BJ in the costume, Kyle Nelson, was on the road with me. So we traveled together for a long time. So both of us had seen the road aspect. We had been with the kids for a long period of time, so we both came with the same attitude. And before that, I'd been with Jeff on the road for a long time. So all of us were really connected. We were really close, had the same mentality, felt the same way about it.
Absolutely had the same mentality. I'd go to lunch with them, and it was like talking to one person,
Oh.
And they would all pile into my truck. And you got 2 dinosaurs in the back of your truck. No, they weren't in costume.
No, thank goodness. Well, so as performance director, what exactly did you do? You were a choreographer, and you came up with all these dances, and
Well, it's interesting because everybody thinks it's all about the dancing, but they came up with that title. They didn't know what to call it. And it started with Miss Penny.
Yes.
And basically, and someone else can come down and maybe change the story, but the story that I heard was that they're going along, and let's say Jim Rowley was directing, he'd say, well, Miss Penny, where are they going to be for this song? Well, okay, they're going to come down this bridge and they're going to da-da, and then they're going to do the song. Well, what are they going to do after the song? Well, they're going to, so I blocked, that's in theatrical terms, I blocked the entire show. And with the dances and with every kind of movement. And then I would go to a meeting with my directors, and then I would lay it out for them. And of course, then they started tweaking. Well, I'm not going to be able to get a camera angle on that, or let me change there, or how about if they came down this way? So I did it first and handed over to them in a big meeting, and they started figuring out if the cameras were going to pick up what I wanted to do. Or some of them would start going, no, I don't even want to do that. How about if we shoot through here, and can Barney come? So that was kind of how the process started.
But we're not part of that.
No.
My process starts with her on Fridays,
Right.
when we would learn the dances for that week. So we would go through the dances for that week, and then on Monday is when we would learn the blocking that we would add the dances
Yeah.
to.
But think of the components here. You're dealing with dances, blocking, costumes, children, directors, words, voices who aren't or somewhere else. I mean,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it wore me out. There you go.
So
I'm laying down on the...
Yeah.
so we have a picture up. Describe this picture, Sharon.
Well, this was when I was still an assistant, and I'm pretty sure I was having a bad back day. And I laid down, and I put my feet up. That's me on the very end. And I just kind of, zoned out. And when I woke up, here were all of the kids lined up right next to me doing the same thing.
Well, monkey see, monkey do.
That's right,
They were already doing what you told them to do.
Well, there's no question we had fun.
That's right.
I mean, there's no question we had lots of fun doing
Oh,
this.
and of course everybody had to take a picture of that. So
Well, of course, that's so cute.
that was early on, because that was the early group that was over in out in Las Colinas, that had the tree house and everything.
Yes.
So I was still an assistant. That is the picture of kind of showing, there are the kids in the foreground, but this is how, I'm giving him a kiss is what it looks like, or I'm getting ready to stick my head in his
Oh,
mouth.
whoa.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
yes.
this is how I had to talk to him. I had to get so close. Now, sorry.
See, we get excited. It's
No.
okay. It's okay.
There's a lot of energy here today.
His teeth are still in, which you'll see one where his teeth are not in, but I had to get in there.
I rarely
and
took them out.
No, we've already discussed
Right.
that.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, that
I
was
had to
part
get
of
in
that.
there and really, in order to talk to him.
Because I've got an earpiece. I'm hearing the voices
Yeah.
right now. So they're talking to me, and then she's talking to me. And
Oh my gosh! And I mean, and you've got a train. And you've got these
Right.
4 kids. That is
Yeah.
so cute, but that's weird. The way that looks. I'm hoping we need to put this up on our
It is.
purpletalespodcast.com and make sure that people can take a look at that because he's it's. You got him.
I
you
do.
Had to, you
I
had to.
sometimes.
Well, had to
you can
trust
see
her.
you can see the height too, the size of the.
Right. And
How big
I
he
would
was.
have to kind of let him know that I was coming at him, because he's got a lot of stuff in his ears, and in order for me to, and I didn't like, they tried to put me on a headset and for me to talk in his head, and I just was, because I had to see his eyes. I didn't want to know if he's hearing me. I had to get in there and see his eyes that, okay, I know what you're talking about, yes or no, or are you okay? Can we do another hour? Or you
well, and they would
need
check
a break?
a lot of that too. We were very stubborn guys.
You were very stubborn.
So there are times that I think they were saying they were talking when they were really checking to see if I was about to pass out or not.
Well, I bet.
And he tells he was a long distance runner, and so he would go the distance and go more, and that's what I was talking about. The mother instinct would come out because, I am like, okay, he's been in the suit, he needs to get out of the suit, because we could take the little dinos and they could almost have instant relief if no kids were around or anything, because they could take he had to come completely out to get any real relief, and that's one of the reasons that he would be so stubborn, because he didn't want to. That's a lot of time, and I would be,
it takes a lot of. You don't just come out of there and you're recovered in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes some time to get body temperature back. You're dealing with a lot of heat.
Well, now, I know, Carey, you've talked about how your mom helped you kind of when you first started.
Yes.
So then now...
My original choreographer.
Yes, your original.
So someone asked about my mom today, and yes, she is still dancing. She is still teaching dancing.
So did he have a good background then by the time you got to him?
Oh, well, he had a good background. That doesn't mean that he was any good. His background, but I am not going to say anything against his background. Okay. No, we had to do, nothing that we were doing was, huge, wonderful dancing. Although Barney was in a tux and tapped.
Oh, my.
Oh, yes.
We haven't heard about this.
He has this whole tap number with Who Was With You. It was one other person, one kid, and I can't even think of who it was.
Yeah.
Wasn't Grayson? No. I think it was one of the girls. But I mean, tails and the top hat and the whole works. And he tapped. Now, you're talking about what? This foot. How big was that foot?
Yeah, and then you put a tap shoe on it.
Yeah, and it had tap shoes. Had little spats and yes, and tap shoes.
Of course.
And so that was probably the most, industrious that we got as far as. But he. The moves I wouldn't say that I would stop and think. I honestly didn't stop and think, okay, now let's see, he's 7 feet and he's 7 feet this way or whatever with that tail. I couldn't. If I started taking that into account, I don't think I would come up with any kind of, little steps. He just would always do them, and we would hope and pray that he didn't knock out in 2 or 3 kids
just by turning around with his tail.
Right.
No, we I don't think you ever did. His big thing that he did that's different than some of them, that he could, on his super D duper, could jump up and do a 360. Now we're talking about how much weight on your body?
It's 50 pounds.
And getting his feet off the ground. This is not in a running. This is cold, coming up out of the air, up off the ground and going all the way aroround and landing there.
Yeah, and that's a move that David Joyner did, and
yes.
So I definitely saw some of that and did a lot of that too. And that's where this is really important, Shelley and Penny and even my mother. You can hurt yourself so bad I can't even tell you, trying to do stuff like that. And you have to understand the proper techniques to do things like that in a costume of that size. Bell kicks and all of those things that we did, and a lot of crazy stuff that we did. But if you can't do it properly, you can snap something.
Shelley, did you ever try the suit on just to see if it could be done?
I tried the suit on, yes. It doesn't have anything to see if I that's what my intent was, to see what it was like. And I'm claustrophobic, and it started coming down on me, and I was just started going, take it off, take it off, take it off. I walked around in the feet. I could put the feet on, and I walked around in it, and just the sheer weight of just the feet alone. And then I was standing in there, and they start bringing that thing down on top of me, and it just wasn't happening. So,
did you ever feel claustrophobic, Carey?
Now, I did actually. When I did the tour, I did the first year, and I told you I was the lead on that first tour. I did every show as the number one. So 7 shows a week I was in there. And then during the summer break, I actually still was doing Barney events. And I probably was in there a little longer than I should have. And when we went back, I don't know if you've heard this story, but when we went back for the second year, I got claustrophobic. I freaked out. And Miss Penny was out there, and I had to get out. And she said, I can see pure terror in your eyes. And I actually had to get it back. It took me about 2 months. So I was still doing shows, but I would have to get in and get a calmness about myself before I could go on stage, and I had to build it all over again. I never had that happen again, but it did happen to me.
See, once again, what you said, Penny had to look in his eyes. That's what, I mean, we have to get in there. He got a concussion, and I'm sitting on the, on the sidelines, and he's out there, and I mean, it was a fall that it was just ka-thunk. And they take him back behind so that no kids. I go around behind. They're taking the teeth out, and I'm just looking at him. And I mean, literally, again, it was like, okay, he's not home. We got to get him out of the suit.
And if my mom is listening, I'm okay.
He's okay. He's okay.
Everything's okay now.
That's right.
I mean, it wasn't a curth-on. I mean, it was,
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
When that mechanism that's inside his, he had taken falls, and he protects himself. He knows how to take the fall, and he knows how. This one happened really hard out of the blue, and it was. And once again, though, it's hard. And I mean, they yanked the teeth out, and you got to get in there and look at his eyes and see him to see him.
Yeah.
And isn't it interesting that now he is a photographer? So he's still looking behind. He's got his lens up to his eyes.
Well,
right.
Barney showed me a way to look at the world differently because I was also wearing a mask during that. And so I had to really be good at seeing completely. Most people see like this, but I see like this because I had to. I would walk in a room, and I would already have figured out where I had to duck and where I had to do. And of course, on that set, I've got to figure out all of the different obstacles on that.
Oh, look!
There's
no teeth. There's no. Oh, I see. There's the
no teeth.
Barney.
There it is. Yes.
Okay.
And so, and more than likely, I'm just saying, well, I'm going to have chicken for dinner, and what do you want? No. So yeah, he was kind of probably cooling off a little bit.
That's a big mouth.
It is a big mouth.
Oh,
yeah.
there was actually no cooling off when you were doing that.
I know that. But it was. We thought it was. Yeah. We did.
It was, and I would tell them that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yes.
good,
wonderful. It's good. So who knows? But yeah, that was a moment that it was good because I could really see him. But he did see. He had a hood on and everything. So he was. I mean, you get to see this much of him.
So then your son obviously liked Barney as a kid, because you got that video and so on, and that puts you on the path to Barney.
Yes.
Barneydom.
Barneydom.
So any problems with him at school? I mean, his mom's working for Barney. I mean,
oh, it's so funny. I've got a couple of pictures of him that he got to come on the set, and I remember really well. There were 2 things. One time, I was. I've got all sorts of bling. Of course, I've got 2 or 3 Barney shirts, and we've got and a Barney jacket, and and he. Mom, why don't they have anything for little kids or anything? And well, they do for the kids that you'd like a shirt. Well, sure. So I got him a Barney polo, and I brought it home to him, and he was just, this is the greatest thing. But I won't wear it to school. But the funny one, I went to his school. It was like what do your parents do and everything. And so I was telling everybody, this is what I do. And, I hate Barney. Oh, Barney. These little guys were saying it,
But how old were they?
Oh, this was probably first grade or something. I mean, Barney maybe second grade.
Right.
But it was trying to be real
cool.
big. And then the same little kid grabs me afterwards and goes, "Can you get me on it?"
Yeah.
Well, not now, but no.
Well, and parents liked it, or didn't,
Right.
didn't. A dear friend of mine said that she would only let her 2 kids watch Barney, but he would come home from school, Trey would come home crying saying, I'm the only kid who doesn't get to watch the Power Rangers.
Oh, yes. Oh,
and
yes.
she said, I was not about to let those kids watch that.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. My child didn't get to watch Power Rangers. No. And he watched Barney. He may not have, I don't know. It was probably, the macho thing. You can't say that you love, but I've got video after video, and he was extremely proud all the time. Was on the show a couple of times. One time when he was real little, just the actual show started pushing in on him and on the playground. It was my first season. And then he rollerbladed across when we were out at Las Colinas. He's proud. He's got a proud history of Barney and loves it.
And you're seeing it from these responses we're getting each week. People that didn't think it was cool back then, that the memories now of how much they love it. We're seeing this each week, how much they love it.
But did you ever kind of face that too, Carey, where someone said, what, you're Barney?
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Well, it's a joke these days because people ask me all the, what did you used to do? I tell them, and I just look at them and Google me. Yeah. No one believes me whatsoever.
But there you were, 20-something, and you wanted to date and have a social life. So I'm just wondering if the girls kind of wondered about.
I had to tell. No, the girls, I had to, because I knew they were going to Google me, or their mother was going to Google me, and I was going to get the. Is there something you forgot to mention? What are you referring to?
Well, but I mean, while you were Barney and you were on the road, I mean, did you try to date then, or were you just too consumed with the show?
No, I
dated.
Okay.
I dated.
Well, they didn't have Google back then, did they?
They had the internet. We weren't.
Okay, I guess so.
Yeah, there was
He's
the
not that
internet.
There wasn't Google. Okay.
No, they did. Oh, I was definitely looked up a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what about some of these dance steps? Because Carey has been promising us that we're going to learn something today.
Oh, man. I was trying to think about, we were talking, there were certain ones that were standard. Raindrops.
You could not touch. The choreography.
Mr. Knickerbocker.
Was always the same.
When they hired me, we were going kind of in a different way of doing things. But anytime we would do, then they had to be the same. And then mine that we did, I wish I could have found it. Joe, and you had Joe Phillips on here. He wrote, it was wonderful. It was this funky little thing, and it was for BJ building his house. BJ was going to build a house. And I mean, it was, and Selena was in it, and we got to really, get down.
Selena Gomez.
Right, Selena Gomez. And we got to get down and do some fun things.
Right.
But it was no major choreography. I mean, if you can do a jazz square and which Jeff Ayres couldn't. But if you could, I love you, Jeff. I love you. Okay.
What is that? What is this? Just kind of stepping in a
box.
square?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
little
box.
And he couldn't do it.
Well,
Well, obviously, we're going to have Jeff and Shelley all together.
Boy, I know.
but he was, can I tell that story about him being the job security?
I think you should tell that. We won't mention names, but you should tell the story.
So Jeff, I've already mentioned that name. Jeff Baby Bob.
He was our first guest.
Yes.
And Jeff had to have some surgery. And I mean major. It was some stomach surgery or something. And so he was going to be out. And we brought in a female Baby Bop. She had been on the road. And we brought her in. And lovely. I mean, wonderful. I'm not saying anything. Beautiful, lovely girl. But she's out there and she's doing, and so I don't know if it was Jim or
Jim Rowley, one of the directors.
Yeah, or if it was Fred or whatever, looking over
Fred
at me.
Holmes, another director.
Looking over at me and going, she's not very Baby Bop. And I would have to go out and tell the girl to please be more girlish.
To match Jeff.
So I called Jeff, or I wrote him and I said, okay, job security, I just want to let you know that you are swishier than any girl we've got. It's just the way Jeff would do. I mean,
And he will agree with you.
Yes. Oh, yes. He is Baby Bop.
Oh, my
I mean,
goodness
I love all
gracious.
the rest of them, but that was, we were just sitting there going, okay.
Well,
what
you
can I
got to
say?
work with some of these kids who actually became famous. Selena
Yes,
Gomez
yes.
and
Demi
Lovato.
Yeah. Oh, there they are.
Look, there they are.
That's
oh, look.
Selena and Demi both side by side over there.
Oh, my goodness.
Segregation, the two little boys over there and the two
Sure.
little girls over there. This was the big swim that Barney is
jumping in
going
the pool.
to jump into that pool.
You jumped into the
I
pool.
jumped in the pool.
He jumped into, there he is.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
And look at the kids over there. That was, when he hit.
Oh, but it's real water. I mean, then the suit's wet.
Absolutely. Oh, yes.
That's
but
the
that
stunt-
was
the
that
stunt
was the
suit.
stunt suit.
Oh.
That was the funniest. That was the best. And that's another.
Because you can't see, but right over here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Over on
in
the
this picture
side.
that you can't see, but there's a big inflatable pool, and there was a trampoline.
One of those
so
little
I would run and
exercise.
jump onto this trampoline, jump the lip of that pool to land into the
Yeah.
water.
And this is
it
And
was
it's
a-
not deep.
No.
Well, it's
it
not
was
deep. It was- I
covered
mean-
up his feet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, it was-
all the
it was
way up
reasonably
to calf.
Yeah.
But you could hurt yourself jumping in.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah, and I did go down and
This was his stubborn. This was one of his stubborn moments, because they were all going to. Here are all the directors. I don't know how many meetings we had with. Well, we're going to take the suit and then. Well, they could suspend it from the tree and they could just dunk this tree. Have him come and kind of jump, and then we'll bring in this. And Carey's just going the whole time, just going. I can jump in it. I can do it. Okay, so we do. Now, this is when the voices are just hysterical because if we did a blooper reel, I don't even think it's on the reel, but here we are hearing the voices. So Carey hits the
'cause
trampoline.
they actually invited everyone in the building.
we were all.
so the staff,
we could see.
everyone that wanted to come see this.
And it was a one shot. This is it.
Yeah,
We
that-
One
didn't-
take.
One take.
That's a stunt suit that is.
So he hits the water, and as soon as he hits the water, he's going down, and it's going to fill up. Well, in comes Shauna, who was.
There's a couple of them that jumped in the pool.
But Shauna
I mean,
is-
Shauna was the first
Right,
because
but she
Shauna was
comes
like
in-
another protector
'cause she's the
of
Dino
mine.
Wrangler. Yeah, she's
Shauna was another
and
close.
she just starts ripping, and the commentary we're hearing is, and here comes the midwife, and they open up, and it's a boy, because she just reached in and grabbed him, and he just came up just.
Yeah.
And you remember that.
Because
sure,
he
I
was filling
remember.
up with water. I mean, that thing was just filling up with water. Had we not gotten him out, he's just floating around in this great big old suit. But that was the birth of Barney. That was when Barney was birthed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't get that one out of my
I'm
head.
sorry.
But
And that may need to be cut. I don't know. But anyway,
No.
But it was fun. I thought it was an excellent. I mean, you can see how fantastic that looks.
oh, absolutely.
And
The splash around there. He's got his sunglasses on.
one shot, and that was it. And that's all it took.
Yep.
He hit that trampoline and hit this, went
look,
over. How tall is that thing? So you went up and
Yeah.
over and hit smack dab in the center like that.
Right.
And
He was good.
he was.
Well, you have to understand for all of us that we didn't. I wasn't doing something that I wasn't confident about, and that
Right.
I had practiced on that trampoline. I didn't just walk out and say I got this. And,
it's true.
and-
I make
and-
him sound like he was, but no.
Yeah,
we knew.
We would go.
See how he is? He just was. He's going to
I know.
play it down.
We would go on Fridays and we would practice stuff and the roller
Yeah.
skating and all that stuff. I didn't just walk out there and say, "Here."
Oh, I can do it. I know.
I can do
but
it.
It does show where, the directors and everything are trying to, okay, maybe we need to do it this way, maybe we need to do it this way. And a lot of times the final answer was because he would suggest it and he'd go, I can do it if we do blah, 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 and so they're going to, okay.
And you have to. They would all come. The producers, all of them would come.
Randy was probably even there.
Oh, he
on that one.
he had talks with me and Linda.
Yeah.
Would have to Linda Houston, producer.
Yeah.
They would talk with us. I mean, there was a. If you feel like if they ever felt like I was in danger or something, they wouldn't have let me do things like
Right.
that. So there was a lot of trust involved in what we were doing.
But a lot of times we wouldn't maybe, when it was first conceived, we wouldn't, could he do this? And he would kind of need to come in and say, yeah, I can, give me a try, because maybe we were going a different direction. We weren't really sure. But and the fun, he was always up for, it's like, yeah, let me give it,
I
let me
love
give it a
that
try.
stuff.
He loved anything like that, the tap dancing and the jumping into that and the putting the roller skates on and the
You
on the
roller
giant
skated in
piano.
Yeah, I
that
did,
costume.
and that's where that's where that show with the pool is where it opened it all up. Because once they saw me do that, the writer, Stephen White, and them were like, "Oh, great! He can roller skate. He can. Woo, we now know what he can do. We love this."
Working with the kids, you had to deal too with parents, and they're little. I mean, did like say Demi Lovato, did Selena Gomez? Was there a spark there that you thought, with your background, these kids are going to be something someday? No, you're just.
I say the truth. Truthfully, I'm extremely surprised with Demi because she was a little shyer.
She was definitely
and
shy.
kind of and unsure. She had this beautiful smile and countenance, but she was unsure of herself. And a lot of times she would watch everybody else. I mean, she's looking at, the choreography, she's watching someone else because she wasn't sure. And so that's why, you didn't see this countenance. Yes, beautiful.
But she had a great singing voice.
Oh yes, because Joe used her.
Well, but it was my brother.
Yes,
did the
Casey.
recording. Yeah, my brother Casey did the recording of the kids.
Right.
So he told me that about Selena and about
a lot
Demi.
of times we might be 3 shows down the road and Demi's not even in that show, but it's her voice because they would bring the kids that really had the good voices, and yes, and she was. Now Selena was crazy. She was she was a child all the time, and we would stop rolling and she's over she's over doing make believe, and doing her whole other show over here. So I even said it then, if she wanted to go on, I knew that she was going to do something. And you'd have kids come in and they do great for that time, but it wasn't really what they wanted to do. I mean, we've got several of them that were fabulous, like even Hayden and Catherine.
Yeah.
And Catherine was so great, but I mean, she's off in Harvard or
Catherine
wherever.
Pulley.
Yeah, she is.
And Hayden Tweedy.
Yeah, and Hayden Tweedy. So it was all a different. There was a lot of them that was just a stop on the way growing up.
Well, we had Courtney on, and she said that she was so upset when her contract wasn't renewed because she got too tall. I mean, you had to change. These kids had to stay little.
Right. They had to stay little, and the girls couldn't blossom to, and the guys. So, and a lot of times they might not even be the age, but they stayed little,
like
they
Grayson.
were short. Grayson was short and shorter, and so was Sarah. That was with it for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had you said moms and dads. We were fortunate that we had excellent parents that weren't this old stereotypical stage parent that allowed us to take, we had a teacher on set, so the kids would go and they would go to their teachers and everything. But
they had a set. They had a teacher. But they also had a
classroom. They had a
right, but there was 2. There was one on the set with the kids at all times.
Right. And there was a teacher.
Yeah, and so some of the kids that weren't in that week's episode were actually in class.
Oh,
so there was a school there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you would think that we would have some kind of issues every now and then. See a parent. I honestly can't even visualize any of the parents because they weren't in our face. No,
so, I used to go see them all the time.
Yeah.
Say hi to the kids, and on my way out, and the parents were always just great.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
So it was a very good experience that way. I know that's kind of maybe not even the norm.
Not from what we can read these days.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and when Steve was here talking about the writing and so on, making sure that it is educational, that had to also come into play with what you were doing. You wouldn't want children to get hurt trying to recreate your steps or how they were acting.
Right. Well, and like I said, where we started going when I came in was that it wasn't like so much the old formula was like a big time musical that you said a few words of dialogue, then you walked over here and you danced, and you said a few words of dialogue. And they were trying to incorporate the actual song into something that they were doing. So a lot of my choreography was them simply sitting at a table putting together something, but they were singing clean up, or they were taking, they were putting that away. We did this whole thing of clean up one time, and Fred Holmes, one of the directors, he and I decided that we wanted to just do it from the standpoint of their hands. So we were just looking at their hands washing, and we did a few little, hand jive kind of things with their hands. So it was just trying to make it fun, because we would have new songs, but we kept doing our standard songs because you had to do that because they wanted to hear it. So how do you do Raindrops for the 500th time and make it fun, make it different? We use umbrellas this time, or we don't, or we use, so it was that. It wasn't so much always a new step as much as let's travel here and pick up here and do this and do that.
Well, and as Joe mentioned, he would do different arrangements.
Yes.
So it would be a different arrangement to Raindrops or Knickerbocker.
You keep mentioning Raindrops. Can you guys sing that?
If all the raindrops were lemon drops and gumdrops, what a world that would be.
Need some water here.
Standing outside with my mouth open wide. If all the raindrops were lemon drops and gumdrops, what a world that would be.
There was a little harmony in there at the end.
Hey.
God, nice, Carey. Very nice. Well done. Those don't ever go away, do they?
No, they don't.
No.
Not some of those, some of them that I want to.
Well, see, for me, they're just so, because I see the road. I see 1,000 kids out there.
Going,
I see that.
Yeah.
I see, and it's just because their parents are all just smiling, and it's an incredible.
Well, and the same thing when the Knickerbocker, they would jump up and start doing Knickerbocker anytime. Yeah. And so some of the songs we did, but like Joe, like you were talking about, we would try to do it different. We did, and I don't even know. Maybe you know what song we used. We did Big. We did a scene from Big where we decided to do the giant piano and have the kids on the piano, and BJ was hitting one note and you were down at the other end hitting another note, and I cannot remember the song, but it might have been something as simple as I Love You, but I don't think, it couldn't have been, because so I don't the kids
standard.
were, so I had to teach them that. I had to teach them how to, where to jump on this big piano.
It's so funny because I don't remember that, but I do remember the hand thing with the cleanup. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Because I remember how difficult that was.
It was.
So you would think that's easy. That was really difficult because I can't see my hands.
Oh.
I can't see any cameras. I can't see anything. So I'm just, you kind of plan it out, and you're basically remembering what you did at rehearsal. And you can't see anyone next to you. You can't see the kids. And it's timed. And so, and you have to remember, the dinosaurs were told from day one when we started, we basically had to be perfect every time. Because most likely one of the kids wasn't going to be. And the worst thing that could happen is that a dinosaur blew a take, right? Because it might take 3 or 4 takes, and then on the 5th one, a dinosaur blew it. I mean, we were never going to hear the end of that. So we really had to, not that we didn't.
But they did blow a few.
Of course we did.
And Jeff Ayres was really, love you, Jeff. I love you, Jeff.
Yeah. No, of course we did. But that was in our head on every scene, was to really make sure we didn't mess up. And we knew we were going to give each other, if Jeff or me. Because we all did.
Oh,
because I
look,
love them.
We've got another picture up. So who have we got here?
That's in the Dino Den. And so that's Carey.
Whoa. Back up.
That's lovingly called
Dino Den.
Where we're sitting was the couch, and right across from the couch were their little dressing rooms, or their dressing rooms, not little, but, the Barney was hanging up in there, and where he went in, and the guys, but that was kind of where they could sit.
This was in Carrollton.
Carrollton, yeah.
And so it was all, it looked like a big office building, office warehouse, but inside was everything, the studios and all of this. And this was my dressing room.
Everyone's so cute.
Oh, you can just see. So that's Carey, and then Jeff Ayres and me, and that's Dean Wint, who's the voice of Barney.
It was the voice with me during that series.
Who was BJ. The last one is BJ.
Oh, my
who
goodness
we're going to see here real soon.
Yes, you've already booked them, I do believe. That's going to be amazing.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, but the Dino Den. I mean,
the Dino
Dino Den. Dino Den. I'm sorry.
See, I don't know. How did they get it? Just
When you heard Dean in the
the Dino Den. So there you go.
Dino Den. Dino Den. Wait, which one is it? Dino. Like a dinosaur. Okay. Well, so many of the comments that we've gotten from people have to do with the toys and the plushies, and they want. And in fact, someone made sure that we know that Eminem's movie 8 Mile, Barney was in 4 scenes with the dolls.
Well, Barney
and on
was
the TV.
He's in a lot of pop culture.
Barney was in
a lot of pop culture.
the dinosaur, the one with Matthew
Jurassic
Broderick.
Park.
No, Matthew
no, he
Broderick.
was in Jurassic Park though.
He was?
And one of there's a scene.
Yes, with the third one where the baby is, and he's watching Barney.
He's watching Barney, yeah.
And then in Godzilla with Matthew Broderick, Godzilla's passing through, and there's Barney on the TV.
There's a lot of pop culture with
It's such
Barney.
an icon.
Yeah.
I mean, even love him or hate him, but
they're going to put him in.
yes, because it creates conversation. It creates a memory.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Well, we had one of the things that Barney had was a Barney bag, and I think Shelley brought her own version of
brought
Barney
my
bag.
own, but it's a
Barney bag
A&M
today.
Barney bag.
That's okay. And that'll work.
Oh, y'all want to see that?
Sure, absolutely.
Oh,
In fact,
well, it's just stuffed with Barneys.
Somebody
And,
fell.
BJ's and baby. This one, you're not going to be able to hear me, but
Well, you hold them up to the camera there.
this one is celebrating 10 years. And Barney, if you remember the show, started with a little guy that looked about like this.
Yeah.
This is as close as
And he would appear.
you get. And then he goes back to that. So,
Kind of looking at it. He's got his teeth.
Yes.
Okay, got that. All right.
but I brought this one because this was my son's. So this was before I even started working for Barney. And when I started, then I got Carey to sign it and Dean to sign it. So this has got baby Slobber on it or whatever, These are literally, I didn't dig these out of a closet. I have an office that I do, I'm still directing, and I have an office, and I have a Barney chair. I have a director's chair that has the Barney logo on it. And these guys are all sitting there, and I look at them all the time. And, my inspiration a lot of times, they were in my office at work while I was with Barney. And, I would. I literally, and a lot of times I actually played with them. I mean, I was doing my choreography, Okay. I'm sorry.
These have to be posted on all of our sites.
Yes.
I mean, these pictures are great.
Yes.
But when's the last time you played with them? Besides today.
I'm not going to tell that.
Okay, you don't have to tell us that. But they're so cute.
Yes, he's great because, like I said, this is as close as we got to that big one.
Right.
That he was a little bit bigger than that, but he wasn't movable like that. He's set just like that.
Yes.
And we always had to find a good place for him to sit, and he comes to life, and then he comes back with that little twinkle in his eye at that spot.
Shelley,
Yes.
what was your favorite episode?
Probably the swimming one.
The swimming one?
No, I really, it was new for us to do something like that.
Right.
I mean, the picture that we showed
Right.
is sitting on my desk, at home.
Right.
This is quite a separation of time since I've done Barney.
Right.
And yet these are still all behind my desk are the series pictures because we would take a cast photo,
Yes.
of each series. They're behind my desk. I don't want to be separated from that. It was a memory and is a memory that,
Yes.
well, this is a group of people that we can call each other. And actually, Kenny Weber, who was wardrobe, and he and Karen, Karen Gatewood, they'll decide, we'll tell them, get everybody together, and they'll just send out, and here we all come. And it's like we never have parted.
You can't put that address out because you're going to have so many Barney fans. I mean, but I know that's what you're learning now are
Right.
all of these memories, what you did for so many people. Millions and millions. And now, I
But
know.
what we wanted to tell them is what they did for us.
Yes.
What they did for us, how much they blessed my life. And I mean, these are just all happy memories each week to be able to tell. And
It is.
And they really... we don't have a show without them. We're not as... I
Right.
didn't do it for 22 years if it wasn't for all the fans that loved this show.
And you could always tell it when we would have, when we started, Barney didn't always shoot. Back in Las Colinas, we didn't have extras. And when we got to the Carrollton office, it was a bigger set, and they decided that it was a park. So the park needed to be with people, populated with people. Sure. And so it was kind of like, oh no, people, we're going to have real people. And they were just, and there would always be a meet and greet so that he could stand there and let all the extras just hug him. And it wasn't just the children, the adults would, can I hug you, Barney? And,
and they would still do that. We'd be in the middle of a scene and a child would just walk up and hug Barney.
Hug Barney.
Would you keep it in?
Well, I don't know.
No, we wouldn't, but we understood that.
Sure. Right. And he would never, nobody ever brushed him aside or don't do that or whatever. We would just keep rolling and that wouldn't make it or whatever,
Sure.
It was just because they were what we were creating the show for.
And he was real.
Mm-hmm.
Corey, that's it. Barney will be it forever.
Forever.
Okay, so Cheryl, I know, Shelley. I'm sorry, Cheryl. I'm thinking of Cheryl. Yeah. Shelley, you started your own community theater.
I did.
Since Barney, and that's Theater on the Hill?
Well, I had that long before Barney.
Oh, so okay.
Theater on the Hill, I started, I was before my son was born, so it was in the 80s, I think, in Cedar Hill, because I had just come out of touring professionally and back to my hometown, which was Dallas, and I wanted a theater. I kept traveling across the Trinity River to do theater, and I was dating my now husband, and he said, well, why don't you start your own? And I was, well, you don't just start a theater. Well, why not? So anyway, I started Theater on the Hill in a barn in Cedar Hill and had that for 10 years.
And that probably played into what you were able to do with Barney, I'm sure.
Oh, well, I'm theater, and that was what, yes, and that's what they used, that part of me then in Barney, that creativeness that I've, it's a God-given talent, gift.
But now you are the artistic director.
Yes, I'm the artistic director of Ennis Public Theater.
Okay.
And several times she is in the production.
Well, I'm in the production now, which will probably be the last. It's going to kill me. No.
What is it? What's the production?
We're doing Noises Off. And if you know Noises Off.
I love that.
And I am Mrs. Clackett, the part that Carol Burnett played.
Oh.
And it is honestly one of the best shows we've ever had. The cast, just take me totally out of it, but I have a stellar cast, because that is a show that is nothing but doors open, doors closed,
timing.
doors open, timing. Oh. And so if you can, this is our last weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Ennis Public Theater. You can go online and get those tickets. It's a lovely little theater in downtown Ennis.
So that's a new theater that
It is.
A couple years now?
Well, with me in charge, I've been in charge 6 seasons or 6 years.
But the theater that they redid.
We're in a brand new space.
They're in a brand new space that they did this.
Downtown that was renovated from an old building. It's gorgeous. It is just beautiful. So it's a visit. It's a destination to go see it, because it's a lovely, lovely space.
It's beautiful.
And Carey took pictures when we were in in the.
Oh yeah, when it was being built,
demolished it, and
And then our executive producer came out.
And that's
that
how
day. He took some pictures that day too.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
So it's great.
Can Barney come back? That's what everyone is also asking.
Barney ought to come back. I think it would be nothing but the best. I'm not sure. There's so much, to me, there's so much hate and violence and reality and muck that's on TV, and the love. I wonder what would happen to Barney in this culture right now. He ought to be back because of the story that he preached and taught. And
that story still preaches, though. We say back, but he still is, once again,
exactly
on TV, Amazon Prime, Universal Kids. So he has not gone away.
No, but could it again, it ought to, but I wonder but as long as he's still out there in the way we're doing it now, you're doing it, and then with the videos and the different things like that, well, at least he's kept alive, and his story is kept alive.
Well, and it's because these fans still love him, and they understand it's unconditional love. Mm-hmm. I think, what we keep talking about these days, I think people question it. Barney loved everyone unconditionally That's it. I mean, it really is.
He was ahead of his
that
time.
Simple. Yeah, it's really that simple.
Well, it is.
Yeah,
That's
and
all
that's
it
why
was.
they loved him. That's why they trusted him.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. He loved everyone unconditionally.
And to be on that set was all-consuming caring. Do you know where I was when 9/11 happened? On the Barney set. And do you remember?
Well, I was in the.
That was your first. That was your first. We were doing the Christmas video.
We were doing the Christmas video in Las Colinas.
It was my first one at the helm. It was his first one. We are just about to start, and we get that message. And what did our producers and the directors say? Shelter the kids. Get around the kids.
We had actually been shooting that morning.
Well, I know.
Because I was getting ready to leave. I was leaving because the rest of the day was just with the kids.
Oh.
And that's when we saw it. And that's exactly what the producers said. We want to let the parents tell the kids about what's going on.
And get around the kids and make sure that, we weren't trying to not let them know. We just didn't need them to know that way.
Sure.
They needed to know from their parents.
From their parents. And it was unbelievable because the next day when we had the moment of silence, that the nation had the moment of silence, I was in the costume.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, what a moment I'm having here right now, thinking about everything that has just happened. And I'm in the suit. There's a lot of love going on in that. I mean, that was a place of.
It was a place of
like
comfort
the best,
and shelter.
It was a really good place to be at because there was so much love and we loved each other
and we were taking care of each other and we were taking care without saying a word. We knew that we were, and that to me is just tantamount about how we always were.
Right.
We always were that way.
Yep.
It can be. I'm not going to say that there weren't stressful. There were stressful days trying to put this product together, but was there anger from people and people yapping at each other and cutting? No, because. That just wasn't. And nobody had to ever say that. Nobody said, this is the way we're going to act because we have children around. It's the way all of these people were because they loved the product, they loved Barney, and there was no need to be any other way. That's the way we were.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons I wanted to have this podcast was because you can hear these stories of how much each one of these people loved it, loved everyone there, worked hard. You can just go on and on and on. The dedication they all had. No one had to be saying, this is a purple dinosaur and we love. No, everyone got it. Everyone understood it and was thankful and blessed to be part of it.
Yeah.
And you've touched so many lives and continue to.
And that's a really cool thing because I think while doing it, I mean, he saw the road. But like I said before, we were in that cocoon of it was the TV and I didn't know who was... I have a little notebook that all these pictures are in, and I have a couple of notes from kids that wrote me at that time. Yeah. But to hear now, some 15, 20, whatever years later, it's longer than that, with people saying, that this, so they're not necessarily saying to me, Shelley Aubrey, you meant this to me, but I did that product. I was part of that group that did that, and so they are saying it to me. And I thank them.
To all of us, to all of us. Then, I've got tons of fans' letters that we'll have to find.
So we can't let you go yet because Carey has been promising some steps. What can you teach us here? Some dance steps. Come on.
See, don't you love that it's alive?
Oh, well, I can't do it sitting down, though. I mean, and it was so funny because my office,
moves if you need to.
My office was about the size of from that window to this desk. I had this tiny little office, and I would be standing in my office, and I'd be dancing around, and actually almost would wreck my car on my way to because I'm you on TV, I'm moving my arms wildly. I still do that and trying to think of things. The biggest thing, and everybody knows this though, was Knickerbocker because Knickerbocker was simply the hand jive. I mean, the old hand jive.
Okay.
It was, hey, Mr. Knickerbocker, boppity bop. I like the way that you boppity bop. Oh, I like the way that you boppity bop with your mouth.
Yep.
Or hands or feet or whatever.
I can do that. Thank you.
Oh,
yes.
Jazz Square. A Jazz Square. Jeff Ayres, watch
you can
this.
You can raise that mic up. You can raise your mic up.
But you don't have my feet. So the jazz square was just 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're doing 1, 2, and then
3, and 4.
you're doing a little square.
And then we did the Charleston step. We did
we would do the Charleston. Yes, but I'm not inventing any steps. I didn't invent anything. Well, that funky little thing Joe wrote, whatever it was, I did almost invent something then. I don't know.
Right.
You just, you start moving and start grooving and do the Barney.
The what?
Carey.
Do the slide.
Oh, the dip?
Yes.
I dip my shoulder. Yeah. On Knickerbocker. That would be on Knickerbocker.
Oh.
At the beginning of it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We had a beginning. That's right. I forgot. Yeah. So that was just a standard because that was whoever invented the hand jive. We were just taking that and using it.
I'm going in. I've already done that 1,000 times on the road. I've done 1,000 shows. Yeah. So when I came, I was already.
Oh, you were the pro.
I was already prepped.
I didn't get to teach him that.
I was prepped. An airplane, flying in an airplane.
Flying in an airplane. Yeah. And most of them, that was it.
But they're simple.
Yes, absolutely.
And same with Kyle. Kyle had done these with me, so he was pretty prepped.
Yeah, you couldn't be too over the top. You couldn't be too inventive, and that's why sometimes when we got to do the tap, and when we had a ballerina one time and had a little ballerina.
Do you remember the one we did? It was like the Music Man, and we had to march with. I had to march with.
That was in precision.
That about killed me.
We did. It was the Christmas one, and they were the tin soldiers.
It wasn't the Christmas one. This was a different one, and you were definitely there. And I had to go around that whole park. I had the whole band outfit and the whole deal, and had to do the whole precision.
It was, and what song? It was.
And I was marching my.
Well, that
because
was,
you don't. Now I'll stand up and do this, but it's not just a march because Barney's so big that you've got to crank it up.
Oh,
so you're cranking those legs up as you're doing it. Otherwise, it doesn't read.
Yeah.
So you're taking all that foam and fleece and you're cranking it up. And you walk around the whole park, and all of a sudden they go,
cut. Let's do it again. Go back to the beginning.
Yeah, someone has to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
Yeah. And it was a large park, and it was not flat, and it would go up the hill and over the bridge, and it was
And there's props and all kinds of
the
stuff.
Christmas one were tin soldiers, and that was I did the act. I mean, it was like A&M. It was like the A&M band. I mean, they were going through and they were coming back, and he was coming down and going through. Man, and I would never. I wouldn't think. It never crossed my mind that he couldn't do it.
Right.
I mean, because he could, but still.
And I was definitely going to tell you I could, even if I could.
Right, that's right.
I was going to figure it out by the time we did it. Hey, Mom, I got I need some more help.
Oh, you want to tell? Let me tell you what. And the smell. Let me tell you what the smell of Barney is. Tiger balm. If anybody wants to know, I would stick my head in to talk
away
to
some
him.
of
It's just
my
like,
secrets here.
Oh boy!
So that's kept you.
He would have
loose and bruise,
patches and balm, and
usually
I learned to use
in the afternoon.
Yeah, Tiger balm from. So whenever I smell Tiger balm, I think lovingly of Barney.
Oh my! None of us will ever be able to smell Tiger balm again.
The plugs we're giving here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! They'll have to have Barney.
Tiger balm definitely saved my career, kept me going.
You two are so good together. I mean, you just can't keep coming up with these memories.
Yeah, she's an amazing lady.
Well,
very special.
It was
very special to me.
Great years, and he just I got to tell you a funny thing that he got. I remember this. It was my 50th birthday, and they decided that they were going to surprise me with a birthday party. And it's like 7:00 at night or something, and I have had it. And he comes into my office. Let's talk. Let's have a little visit. Why don't we go have a drink? Oh man, Carey. I mean, no, I am such a. Let's just go over and have a little drink, okay? And just let's talk. I mean, the man literally had to drag me, and we go to this place where it's going to be, and the very first thing you get to is the bar. So I just head right in, and he's, why don't we go? It was the funniest thing to me. It's a funny memory of that they gave to Carey, and especially on the night when I've just had it. We had a long day, which he did too, I'm sure. But that was a special memory.
Everybody was there?
Everybody was there, and then we played games. It was at a bowling alley that had all sorts of games and everything. But I mean, I would have expected no less. I mean, I'm not trying to, it's just the way we were. And we used to have, happy hour. We would go, here are people that have spent 10, 12 hours together, and yet let's all go sit and have a drink together too.
Birthday cards, you remember every time that someone had a birthday card, everyone went around. Everyone got
I've got a great big thing this big on my wall. When I had to retire, I had an accident and broke my leg in a couple of places. And funny thing, when it happened, my second call was to him because he was getting ready to meet me for dinner. And I'm calling saying, okay, somebody find Carey because I've broken my leg. Anyway, and so it's a collage of pictures, and everybody signed it, and that was a hard choice I had to make, but we couldn't have done it. I know I couldn't have done it without the support and care that this man, and the kindness and consideration that he and Jeff Ayres and Kyle and Dean, everybody. It's just, I can name every one of them with the support they gave me. And, it's not like I had all the answers, but they would lean on me to help them, and I would lean on them to help me. And it doesn't matter. We can be separate and not have seen each other for 20 years, and I know we'll sit down and it'll be just like old times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's a dear friend.
It's family.
It is.
Absolutely.
We are. Yeah.
Shelley Aubrey, will you come back with
absolutely.
more stories and better dances? Come on, we're going to have to get
we
off
have
this
to clear
table.
this
But I think we're going
off,
to have to bring in Jeff with us.
I was going to say, it's got to be Jeff,
Got to
have to have Jeffy with me.
And you've got everybody planned out from here and there, right?
Yeah,
Carey?
we're going to have a really fun. It just continues. Next week's going to be fun. And
okay.
We've got a couple people that have just joined in that I cannot wait for you to get to meet.
I don't think anyone can say no to this man. Maybe that's it.
Probably not. He's so cute.
He is, wasn't it? Isn't there that story about Selena Gomez? He was her first crush.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what she says.
We'll track down that girl. Everybody who's in the show has a spot here, which is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Everyone is welcome.
Absolutely.
Still, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
fun.
Carey,
Thank you.
Shelley. I'm Nancy J. And
Yes, Shelley, thank you so much.
Be sure, purpletalespodcast.com. We've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube, we've got all of the different ways you can hear us and find us. And
we're going to have so much fun next week, Nancy. Just buckle up.
oh boy, well, this is a good one too. Oh my!
It's been so much fun.
I loved it. Thank you. Thank you.